Okay, let's try this again, guys. First of all, like I said originally at the beginning of the first attempt here, uh, essentially you'll be watching this on June 16th. I am recording this on June 9th. The reason being, of course, as I said in the update video that I did on June 9th in the morning, early morning, June 9th, basically, for those of you that have followed me for 17 years, you know that around summer break, of my situation and all that things change when it comes to content uploading. So I have to, find opportunities or upload well in advance so that you guys will have content throughout the break, as best as I can give to you. So with that said, let's talk about this. This is something that, I believe I've mentioned it before, but very briefly, or very rarely, I should say, rarely and briefly, here on the channel. And I want to kind of answer it though here, so those of you that might be new, and if you're curious as to what I'm a fan of at times, or one of the more strange things that I'm a fan of, when it comes to media, you can thank this movie right here for me becoming a fan. Because in 1990, when this movie was being advertised, to be in theaters and then be released on home video, with the little TV trailers and everything, one of the scenes that they would use in those trailers, for the theaters and then for the release on home video, one of the scenes they would use is Julia Roberts in a bubble bath, in a big bubble bath, and then submerging underneath. That's one of the clips they would use. And basically the scene, and a lot of you probably know that scene by now because it's a very iconic scene, is she does this deal with Richard Gere's character, and when he agrees to the amount that she wants, she basically says holy S, if you will, and she submerges under the bubble bath. And then the next thing we know, as Richard's character is calling out for her character's name, which is Vivian in the movie, we see like her legs just kind of slowly, slowly emerge a little bit, but it's just her kneecaps. Like I think it's her left leg that kind of slowly comes up, almost like very seductively, sensually, and then the other follows suit. And she's just being playful and everything and excited. And then she kind of reemerges after that, all covered with her face completely covered in bubbles and everything. And that scene there, it basically made me a fan, if you will. It made me a fan of this trope. It really made me a fan. Just drinking some milk there. But it really made me a fan, basically, because of the fact that, there was just something silly about it. Something wacky, loony, kind of like cartoony, Looney Toony, if you will, about it. And basically, to me, I've always had this conception that when you have a scene with and I say it with all due respect, no offense, all due respect, no offense, when you have a scene with the female lead, if you will, in a bubble bath, like Julia Roberts was, my assumption is that they're going to submerge underneath. And what's unique about this trope, if you will, is that we actually had that happen, years before. It was during basically the Valerie series, which became the Hogan family, and basically it was at the end of one episode, and I think it's after her neighbor did a little shopping for her and bought her a big duck-shaped bottle of bubble bath, and Valerie's character decides to soak in it at the end after the day she's had. And then when the sons try to call for her, she just submerges under the bubble bath, but except for her arms, and she's just waving her arms, around like she's orchestrating the music she's listening to, but you just see her arms doing it because she's submerged herself under the bubble bath, with the exception of that. And her basically makes it look like her arms are taking on a life of their own. And so, basically, again, it was this movie here that made me a fan of that trope, and I was excited to see that it came out even before then. But then I saw that around that time, The Simpsons, they were, I think, in the third season or something like that, which was 1991, and we had two back-to-back episodes with two main female protagonists, if you will, main female characters in Bubble Bath Submerging. We had Marge in Homer Alone. She's on this little self-vacation. She needs like a break, or she has a resort, and she's taking a bubble bath and she's watching Thelma and Louise. And after she takes a bit of ice cream, she eats a bit of ice cream and all that. She suddenly sighs a little bit and then submerges underneath, and you see nothing but like the tippy top of her head because she's completely under, and then she pops back up and then her hair is completely down and everything, acting like she's. It almost feels like when she does that, she's trying to picture herself being like a mermaid coming up from the ocean, if you will. And then the following episode called Bart the Lover, you have Edna, who is Bart's teacher in the series, and Bart's basically trying to play like this major prank on her or something like that, and he's pretending to be this guy that's interested in her, and he's writing these romance letters. He's very, very, I guess you could say, I don't know how you put it, but very, very aroused. I wouldn't say very. I can't. How do I put this? Very enticing letters, love letters to Edna. And again, Edna is not aware this is Bart, who's portraying this guy, and she's soaking in a bubble bath as she's reading one of them. And then when she gets to the ending of it, suddenly she submerges. She moans a little bit and submerges, tosses the letter up, and the letter falls outside onto the ground outside of the tub. But as she submerges, all of a sudden you hear her moan, and then as she's going down, you hear the you hear that sound. You're going that, and she just disappears completely under the bubble bath, and then that's how the scene ends. So it makes you think, oh, she just became part of the bubble bath and all that. So yeah, that's usually. So yeah, a year later, like I said, in the third season, they did that, and I was like, oh, that's obviously got to be inspired by Pretty Woman, because again, to me, the timing was just too the timing to me was just too, too ironic in my opinion, just too ironic, of the timing. So I think honestly that's probably what it was from. It was probably from the fact. It was probably from the fact that someone saw Pretty Woman, and as they were animating these episodes, they're like, well, we have this bowl bath scene, let's have the characters submerge. That's just my take. That's just my take. I could be wrong, but I think somebody obviously had to get inspiration from that. They had to. And then of course you have some other shows that have had bowl bath scenes and all that, but they never had the characters submerge. I mean, you can only maybe visually hear them submerging or something like that accidentally. Like, you had Lois and Clark, and Lois has a honeymoon suite and all that to herself, and she's just soaking in this big heart-shaped tub in a bubble bath, and you're thinking, oh, she's going to submerge, and technically she kind of does when she leans back a little bit and her head just kind of disappears, for a second, not under the bubble bath, but in between it. And then you kind of like hear later on she's talking to Clark, and then she sees something, and because she's trying to get pictures and everything, she ends up basically, I guess you could say, falling in the bubble bath and going underneath. But you visually hear it on the phone that Clark's talking to her on, and everything, but you don't see it. But yeah, you got that scene, you got something like that, and then you do get some other scenes. I mean, there are scenes and everything, some anime scenes with the characters that do bubble baths and all that. They've had the female characters submerge into those, and either unbeknownst to them, or maybe because they just want to go underneath and kind of wash their hair and then come back up, or they're just being playful and everything. Heck, you've had anime back in the 70s that have had characters do that as well. But to me, again, it was this movie that kind of made me a fan of that, because I'm like, this is pretty cool. Again, to me, it's pretty cool to see, because it felt like it was something you would see in a cartoon, very cartoony, in my opinion. And I always became a fan of those kind of relaxing, I guess you could say, cleanings, if you will. Basically, instead of showers, you can just soak in a bath and all that, bubble bath and all that. I've always became, fascinated with that. And to me, one of the things I always tried to do, even when I lived on my own, was try to see how big I could make it and all that. Try to match up to what I would see in what I saw in this movie, as well as what I would see maybe on YouTube, because there's people on YouTube that will actually go very far. I mean, there's one girl that puts a bath bomb in a jet tub, and she literally gets engulfed by the bubble bath and all that and everything. So yeah, you could tell that Pretty Woman did have an impact, not just on me, but on these kind of people as well, that would attempt to do something like that, or even try to reenact it as well. But then again, now you have AI, and you can have a little bit more fun as well, because maybe what you've noticed here on YouTube, even though it's limited in advertisement, is you could actually take the submerging of the characters, or you can make the characters submerge, but then you can playfully add to it. Like, you can playfully make it look like, oh, they submerged under the bubble bath, but now here's the lips popping up and they've become nothing but lipstick lips. That's kind of showing that they've merged with the bubble bath and everything. So yeah, basically I just wanted to come on here, guys, and talk about this on this video that you're going to be seeing on January 16th. I mean, not January 16th, but June 16th. Let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Let me know what you thought of the bubble bath scene with Julia Roberts in this movie. Did it make you a fan of that trope as well? And are there any that I missed, when it comes to, something similar to this, to what you did in this film? Let me know in the comment section. And until then, I will talk to y'all later. But, thank you all for watching. And there will be more to come starting for this week, the first week.